The Justice League podcast with 2Gs is brought to you by IMOSportsTV.com.
Up next on the docket.
Don't breathe hard. It's news time. Sigh. Don't sigh.
Dillian Whyte busted for banned substances. Now, everybody hears that and it's like, ha, 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 ha. You were making fun of Gerald Big Baby Miller and talking about how disgusting it is for people to take PEDs. And look here, you get busted. What substances was he taking?
Anabolic steroids. Basically, the specific agent that he took, supposedly makes more testosterone.
What's that, Dianabol?
Yeah, I can't pronounce those names. I'm not a chemist.
Metabolites found in his system, whether they're trace amounts or not, that could lead to the fact that maybe you were cycling off of them and trace amounts were left. And it looks bad. Why does it look bad? Here's what happened, people. July 17th, UCAD lets him know his A sample tested positive for those metabolites, Dianabol. Then he has a quick hearing. They say that he's going to contest it, so test my B sample. So
which is his right.
It's his right to do that, the protocol. However, they do not inform Oscar Rivas and his team that the A sample tested positive. So they cleared him based on the technicality of following the rules and exercising his rights under that jurisdiction.
He's only been accused.
He's only been accused, meaning that basically, no, he failed it.
He failed it, but
the B sample, they take 2 because it could be contaminated, and they want to see. To me, in the best interest of all parties participating in the fight, Oscar Rivas and his team should have been notified that, hey, look what happened. His A sample tested positive. However, he's exercised his right to have the B sample tested. What do you think? What do you think they would have said if that happened?
They would have said, I don't think we need to do this fight.
Exactly.
They would have really just pulled out. I mean.
Exactly.
And at this point, I think it would still be on the table if it were my fighter, if it were my career.
Exactly. So then that leads to one Eddie Edward Hearn, the promoter promoting this whole pay-per-view.
The ringmaster.
The ringmaster. What it is that he got this hearing. They did it. They exercised their right following those technicalities. And he says, well, since he has those rights and he exercised them, we don't have to say anything. That seems shady McGrady to me.
Well, it seems shady, true, but it's boxing. It's the business of boxing.
But both parties should be informed of some irregularities. Because what if the steroid that he was taking was something that had him so juiced up, and then he crushed this guy and hurt him badly in the ring, and then after the fact, well, the B sample is also positive, so he's banned and all of those things. Why would Oscar Rivas have to go through the punishment of that if it wasn't necessary?
I completely understand what you're saying.
Yes.
He would be put at a disadvantage.
Exactly.
And if given the opportunity not to be at a disadvantage, he would definitely take it.
Of course.
But we're still talking about the business of boxing,
which is, people say, is corrupt.
There's some inherent corruptness in this business.
It is.
Honestly.
You're the promoter. 2 fighters. Pedro Justice, Hendo. We're going to go at it. And then it finds out that Hendo test is positive
for carrots. Because I didn't take any drugs.
For steroids.
Why are you trying to give me steroids?
PEDs.
Oh, no.
Now, I'm over here minding my business, thinking that everything is cleared, and we go in the ring, and Hendo with his Superman powers crushing my head.
And like Ivan Drago.
And I'm like, wait a minute. Now, I know he's a tough guy, but I don't remember him hitting this hard before when we trained as lads. UK lads. So what is going on with Hendo's power? And I'm thinking, I don't know. Then I find out after the fight that you It tested positive for steroids.
Some saying steroids.
And then now I'm outraged, but we got to follow the legal protocol. Rubbish. I'm using these UK words because rubbish. I would be upset. There's going to be a lawsuit. Someone's going to get sued. Eddie Hearn goose is in the cooker.
I cannot disagree in any way, shape, or form.
Oscar Rivas, what do you think he's thinking? Like, man, you put me in harm's way. Now, Oscar Rivas knocked him down, but Oscar Rivas is thinking they're both on a level playing field.
That they're equal. And they're testing each other's strength and power, but he did it honestly, whereas maybe Dillian Whyte didn't do it honestly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
No. The only thing alleged is that we don't know about the B sample yet, but that A sample, fact.
Maybe somebody sprinkled some stuff in it.
Contamination, trace amounts. Come on, guys. There's a lot of shady things happening. There's videos out there of them talking in a shady way. There's a lot of things that we'll get into at a later time. But right now, on the surface, Dillian Whyte talking trash about other boxers. He said boxing was a joke. It's a joke because people are cheating and they still let people fight when they find out they're cheating. And guess what? Hypocrite. The same thing you complained about, you just did it yourself.
Guilty of the same crime. That's hypocritical.
And we'll know for sure if you did it yourself when the B sample. We'll give you that. We'll let the due process takes place. Due process says B sample, and based on the B sample, then we'll know for sure whether or not Dillian Whyte is a cheater.
Now, in your experience of other stories and about athletes using performance-enhancing drugs, what has been the result of testing that B sample?
In the 90 percentiles, it's usually also positive. The one case that I can think of where there was so tiny of an amount, it equal to the fact that if you took it years ago and you got in trouble for it then, there's such a tiny picogram could be still in your system. One Bones Jones, where they had said that he was taking steroids, but they found out the amount was so tiny, it may be something when he had got banned before. And so it wasn't enough to enhance any performance. And so he was allowed to fight, and he's still currently fighting. So they didn't say this was the case in this instance here. So we'll
it hasn't
have to
been
see.
it hasn't been investigated yet.
Yeah,
so.
not fully. Due process.
Due process.
Right now, he looked guilty.
It does not look good.
It doesn't look good. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up. Deontay Wilder said, not Dillian Whyte specifically, but he said, I know boxers are doing some things and they're taking PEDs, but I'm not going to name anybody. This is a dirty sport. And that's why Deontay Wilder pays for VADA testing for the other person if they don't do it themselves, because what he wants is a clean, fair fight. So Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder is pushing for a clean sport, and that's why VADA testing is getting so popular, because their stringent techniques and the things that they do make sure that everyone adheres to the protocol and it's a clean fight. And hey, man, guess what? Just now, Dillian Whyte tested positive for the A sample. Big Baby Miller had every steroid in his system. Even your boy Tyson Fury Public, he tested positive for steroids. We wanted to push it under the rug just because he had taken cocaine as well. He took steroids and he failed the test. And this same UCAD, also with their weird, strange hearings, we didn't find out for that maybe a year later. So it's already shady. And this is basically saying, VADA, you're going to be the #1 place that we go. And if you don't test with VADA, you can't have a fight. Now, I know the reason why people don't test with VADA is not necessarily just because they're trying to escape, but it's expensive. So I think the commission,
they want those dollars. They're not paying for. They're not doing it for free.
The commission and the promoters and the networks all need to come together and figure out a way that boxing, it gets cleaned up.
Well, All right, do you think they're going to do that?
That's craziness. But for
standardization.
Yeah, well, these different commissions, the WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO, even the IBO.
They're not motivated by there's no motivation to do that, honestly.
Now, each of these sanctioning bodies are their own separate thing. And so they have WBC rules, WBA, all that. But they need to clean it up, especially at these big fights, so that we know everybody's on a level playing field. Because I think it's just disrespectful and disgusting that Oscar Rivas should have been notified that there was something up.
Immediately.
The next day, even once the hearing took place, there was a hearing. He exercised his right because they knew. Eddie Hearn knew what he had an interview. He knew he was going to say no fight, but I still want to get paid. So there's going to be lawsuits.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Deontay Wilder said it. This sport is very dangerous. We put our lives on the line, and we just want things to be fair.
As much as possible.
As much as possible.